Welcome back, friends. We move on to the new topic, new chapter of 12th, and the chapter's name is Kinetic Theory of Gases and Radiation. See, in my regular classes, regular lectures, I have taught you the topic of radiation. In this chapter, there are two parts. One is kinetic theory of gases, and second part is radiation. The radiation part I already taught you in my lectures. So we will start with the kinetic theory of gases. Now, what we know about gases? See, if you remember specific heats, gases have got two specific heats. They are defined at constant pressure and constant volume. Similarly, we all know that behavior of gas molecules is totally different from the molecules of solid and liquid. Solid and liquid have molecules which are closely packed. There is intermolecular force of attraction between them. But in case of gases, the intermolecular force of attraction are very, very weak, or they are negligible. In such conditions, the behavior of gases is totally different from solids and liquids. Now, in the beginning, let us understand the introduction of this chapter. The first thing is about the three laws which are taught to you in 11th. One is Boyle's law, second is Charles' law, and third is what? Gay-Lussac's law. What are these three laws I am telling you? First is Boyle's law. If the temperature of the gas is kept constant, okay, and you increase the pressure, what will happen? The volume will decrease. So pressure and volume are inversely proportional. So volume is inversely proportional to pressure. This is what the first law called as Boyle's law. The second law is Charles' law. If we keep pressure constant and if we increase the temperature, okay, the volume will increase. Keeping pressure constant, if you increase the temperature, volume will increase. That is what Charles' law. And lastly, if we keep the volume constant and increase the temperature, then automatically the pressure inside the gas will increase. That means P is directly proportional to T. These are the three laws I will show on the board. Don't worry. First is Boyle's law, second is Charles' law, and third is Gay-Lussac's law. Now all these laws are applicable to real gases. Now you will ask me a question, what is meant by real gases and ideal gases? Okay, that will also explain on the board. But understand, real gases obey these three laws only at low pressure. What? Low pressure and temperature above liquefaction. Temperature should be high. It should be above the liquefaction temperature. Liquefaction means what? The temperature at which gas turns into a liquid state. So the temperature should be above the liquefaction temperature and the pressure should be low. These conditions, when they are satisfied, that gas will be called as what? Real gas. Understood? So these three laws are applicable only for real gases at high temperature and low pressure. Okay? Now let's look at the board and understand the points. See. The first law is Boyle's law, right? Volume inversely proportional to pressure when temperature is constant. Second is Charles' law, volume directly proportional to T when pressure is constant. And Gay-Lussac's law, pressure is directly proportional to T if volume remains constant. Now when you combine all these three laws, we can write PV directly proportional to T. Or if I take T in the denominator, I can write P1 V1 upon T1 equal to P2 V2 upon T2. Okay, I get this relation for a gas with pressure P1 V1 and T1. If I take P1 V1 upon T1 and change the pressure, volume and temperature, it will be equal to the same value P2 V2 by T2. So this relation we obtain. Now if you consider the gas having n number of moles, what? N number of moles, then we write this same equation as PV, this equation PV direct proportional to N into T, where N stands for number of moles. If you want to remove the proportionality sign, we can write PV equal to nRT. Okay, and this equation is called as the ideal gas equation. Getting it? PV equal to nRT is called as the ideal gas equation. Understood? Now we move forward. Now as I told you, how we find number of moles. Okay, number of moles can be found by dividing mass of a gas divided upon molar mass. Now what is meant by molar mass? The mass of 1 mole of gas. Mass of what? 1 mole of gas. When you divide this, we get what? Number of moles. Like for example, I'll give you know hydrogen is a diatomic molecule. Hydrogen has molecular mass 2 grams. If I take 10 grams of hydrogen gas, take example, if I take 10 grams of hydrogen gas, how many moles of hydrogen I have got? It will be 10 divided by 2. That means 5 moles. Right? So in this way we find number of moles. The other formula for finding number of moles is number of molecules divided by the Avogadro number. Okay? If you remember the Avogadro number, that value will be put here and we get the number of moles. Now, in the equation PV equal to nRT, R stands for what? Universal gas constant, whose value is what? 8.314 joule per mole Kelvin. Now, we can write the same ideal gas equation in a different manner. I can write in this way: PV equal to N KB into T, where KB stands for Boltzmann constant. I repeat, the ideal gas equation can be also written in an alternately different manner: PV equal to N number of molecules, KB is called as Boltzmann constant, and T is the temperature. N into KB to T. Now you will ask me what is KB? KB is Boltzmann constant and it is related with R. R is what? Universal gas constant, by this formula. R equal to Na into KB. R is the universal gas constant. Na stands for Avogadro number. Understood? 6.02 into 10 to 23, and KB is the Boltzmann constant. All these three constants are related by this formula. And lastly, as I told you, the Boyle's law, Charles' law and Gay-Lussac's law are obeyed by real gases. Okay? Why we say they are obeyed by real gases? Because these laws are obeyed at low pressure and high temperature. The temperature should be above liquefaction point, liquefying temperature. Okay? That means above boiling point. That is the condition. Now, when a gas obeys this equation PV equal to nRT at all possible values of pressure and temperature, we call such a gas as ideal gas. So, ideal gas are those gases which obey this equation for all pressures and temperature. But if a gas obeys the equation only at low pressure and high temperature, then that gas will be called as what? Real gas. That's the difference between what? Real gas and ideal gas. I repeat once again, ideal gas will obey this equation at all temperatures, all values of temperatures and pressures. But the real gases will follow these values only at, this equation will be obeyed by real gases only at low pressure and high temperature. See, let's come to the main topic. We'll talk about now behavior of gases. So the behavior of gases is totally different from the behavior of liquids or solids. What is the reason behind it? See, the characteristics of a gas can be understood by three quantities. Simply three quantities. One is pressure, volume, and third is what? Temperature. All these variables, okay, can be measured at the macroscopic level. Macroscopic level means what? At a higher level. The opposite of macroscopic is what? Microscopic. Okay, we can measure this not at the microscopic level but at the macroscopic level. Since the molecules are so minute, and secondly, in a 1 meter cube of volume there will be 10 raised to 23, more than 10 raised to 23 molecules of gas, and that's why it is very difficult to study the characteristics of a single gas molecule, individually. So what we do, we consider the collection of all these gas molecules, okay, and we study the macroscopic and not the microscopic characteristics. So always remember, whenever we talk about gases, we talk about the macroscopic properties like pressure, volume and temperature. This is not the case in liquids or solids. In liquids and solids we can go at the microscopic level, but in gases we cannot go at the microscopic level. So these three quantities will be deciding the properties of gases: the pressure, the volume, the temperature. Okay, so any gas is characterized by these macroscopic properties, variables, macroscopic variables: pressure, volume and temperature. And I told you they are related to each other by the ideal gas equation PV equal to nRT. Now let us understand the difference between real gases and ideal gases. Okay, now we all know that gas molecules are in a constant motion. We call this motion as what? Random motion. Correct? Inside a container, these molecules are always in a state of what? Random motion, and they collide with the walls of the container. But the collisions are what? Perfectly elastic. So once they collide, they rebound back, and there is negligible loss of energy. Okay. Secondly, the two gas molecules will not exert any force of attraction on each other. Reason, you tell me? Why gas molecules do not exert a force of attraction on each other? Reason is the gas molecules are separated by a large distance. The gas molecules are separated by what? Large distance, and that's why the intermolecular force of attraction is zero or negligible. So when we talk about properties of gases, we have to consider this thing, that the intermolecular force of attraction between the gases is zero. But one condition, remember, if you take low concentration of gas means what? The gas molecules are less in number, pressure is less. In such conditions, the gas molecules are far away from each other and the intermolecular force of attraction is weak. Okay, but if the density of gas is increased or pressure is increased, what happens? When pressure is increased, the gas molecules may come closer to each other and there will be an intermolecular force of attraction. Similarly, if you decrease the temperature, on decreasing the temperature, the volume will decrease, the gas molecules will come closer, right? And again, there will be some intermolecular force of attraction between them. I repeat once again, if you decrease the pressure, if you increase the pressure and decrease the temperature, the molecules may come closer to each other and they may exert intermolecular force of attraction over each other. But if we want to apply this equation PV equal to nRT, we don't have to consider all these things. That's why we assume that the intermolecular force of attraction is zero. Whatever force is there is the force acting on the walls of the container. Getting it? The collisions are only with the walls of container, and the gas molecules are not interacting with each other. So the condition for ideal gas and real gas that I am telling you now. Ideal gas will obey the equation PV equal to nRT at all temperatures and all pressures. But in real world, this is not possible. In real world, it is not possible at all. That's why the gases which we know, which are around us, they will obey PV equal to nRT only at certain condition. What is that? I told you, low pressure. Pressure should be what? Low. Okay? And temperature should be high. High means temperature should be what? Above liquefaction temperature. Okay? Those gases which obey the equation PV equal to nRT at what? Low pressure and high temperature. Such gases will be called as what? Real gases. Understanding? That's the difference between what? Ideal gas and real gas. In reality, no gas is what? Ideal gas. Because I told you, when the pressure is high and temperature is low, the gas molecules will exert force on each other. There will be interaction between them, and this is not according to the ideal gas equation. So the real gases and ideal gases, this is a differentiation we do, and we give the condition that the real gas will obey the ideal gas equation only at low pressure and high temperature. Temperature should be above the liquefaction temperature. Okay. Let's now talk about concept of mean free path. Symbol is lambda. Okay. As we all know, the gas molecules inside a container, okay, are far away from each other. They are not so closely packed like liquids or solids. But they possess one important property, that is what? Brownian motion or random motion. All these gas molecules are continuously moving in different directions. Okay, this motion is called as what? Random motion or Brownian motion. Getting it? Now definitely one thing will happen. During their motion, they are bound to collide with each other and also with the walls of the container. Correct? Now whenever gas molecules come closer to each other, they behave like perfect rigid spheres and they repel each other. What? When two gas molecules approach each other, okay, when they come near each other, they repel each other and they behave like perfectly rigid spheres. And that's why when they collide with each other, the collision is perfectly elastic. At the same time, when these gas molecules collide with the walls of the container, those collisions are also perfectly elastic. Okay, the momentum is conserved, the kinetic energy is also conserved. So the gas molecules between two successive collisions, they always travel in what? Straight line. They will never move in a curved path. The gas molecules will always move in straight lines. And from this we come to the concept of what? Mean free path. Mean free path is the average distance travelled by the gas molecule between two successive collisions. Getting it? Take one example here. This gas molecule is moving in this direction, it collides over here. So this is the distance between the two collisions, and then again it moves here, it collides with another molecule. This is another distance. Then again it undergoes collision over here. this is the third distance. If you take average of all this, what you get is the mean free path. Okay, so the mean free path is defined as the average distance traversed by gas molecules between two successive collisions. Okay, now on what factor does the mean free path, that is lambda, depend? Now understand this. You tell me, if the density of gas is more, what? Density of gas is more, means there will be more number of gas molecules. When more number of gas molecules will be there, the time interval between the collisions will be less. There will be more amount of collisions. When there will be more amount of collision, the mean free path will automatically decrease, right? The collisions will be more and the distance traveled by a molecule between two collisions will be less. So the first thing you understand, the mean free path is inversely proportional to what? Density of gas. If density of gas is higher, then mean free path will be less. Second, the mean free path is inversely proportional to the diameter of the gas molecule. Okay, larger the gas molecule, more is the chance of what? Collision, and less will be the mean free path. Understood? So lambda is inversely proportional to diameter of the gas molecule, and also lambda is inversely proportional to the square of diameter. Now why square of diameter? It also depends on the cross section of the molecule. Okay, larger the cross section, more will be the collision and less will be the mean free path. So on these factors, the mean free path depends. The diameter inversely proportional to diameter. Mean free path is inversely proportional to diameter, inversely proportional to the cross section of the molecule, and lastly inversely proportional to what? Density. And from all this we get this particular formula, lambda equal to 1 upon root 2 pi d square into n upon v. This is the formula for mean free path. Again I repeat, what is meant by mean free path of gas molecule? The average distance traversed by the gas molecules between two successive collisions is called as mean free path.